first, I wanted to take the time, thank you, Carlos, for just taking time to sit down with you. I wanted to first state that we're going to have a little bit of coffee talk. So we'll talk about the purpose of what we're doing, why we're doing it. We'll get a chance to chat a little bit about your history and what the next steps and of Merv's Cafe is about to get ready for us. And I'm looking forward to just, as I said, hearing what you got to say. So I'll start here. First, let's talk about you. So the journey that led you to become who you are and the entrepreneurial path.
Probably have done every job you could think of to finally figure out, like, I just couldn't work for someone. That was the ultimate goal after a while. Like, I just can't work for someone. Because I felt like a lot of people out there, they're just bosses. It's not leaders.
Yeah.
They're more like, they're more about, I'll tell you what to do rather than show me how to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like a lot. There's the sentiment is shared with a lot of people where you feel underappreciated, and I think that's where it becomes. That's when it became a goal. Like, I want to be that person that makes someone feel like, oh, I work for someone that sees my value, regardless of what it is that I'm doing. So the mixture of that, and then obviously financial burdens, and my mom was getting older, thinking of, if I get a job, I went to school, I did the whole, I have a degree, but I felt like in the field that I got my degree in, I wasn't gonna be making six figures, which is, I felt like that's what I needed to be at to have my own family eventually, and then take care of my mom. Because I feel like that's a very Latino thing that we carry sometimes, or a minority thing, where we feel like we're responsible for our parents. So the mixture of all of that led me to push to create a business. I've always done like little things, like I had a hookah catering service. I did T-shirts, like pretty much everything you could kind of like sort of start with or have access to. I'm a graphic designer, so I would do little gigs here and there. But then the biggest thing happened 2019, where I told my mom, like, we got to do something crazy. So we got into the other coffee shop. I did everything from scratch. I knew nothing about coffee, nothing. I walked in there knowing nothing. And then with practice and a few people helped me, I started picking up things. I created my own menu, and people started liking what we were doing. And I just kind of like, I was like, this is my thing. Like, this is where I'm thriving, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And that's the other business, which is right now my mom's running it. I'm glad that she feels useful. She's doing something and she's her own boss. She doesn't have to work for somebody. So I'm happy. Like, that's pretty much the fastest summary of how I ended up there, and then eventually coming here. Because through there, I met people that connected me to the owner here.
Oh, understood. All right, awesome. So you're still in the first stages of Merv's Cafe, so starting it up. This is week 3, right?
All right.
So how do you feel like things are going so far? And when you're done, chatting about that, please give us like your hours of operation and just a couple of things that we need to know about your coffee.
I'm more excited about the journey of how things, because I feel like when you see something grow, it's like having a pet or maybe having a child. I don't have any children, but I assume like the experience of seeing a child grow, like, oh, he went from this to this to this, and seeing all the stages of, that's sort of like what it is for a business. So I like the fact, like I said, that it's slower, because it gives me a chance to enjoy this part. Like, this has to happen, for my experience, for me to enjoy when it gets to the point where it's busy and like there's people everywhere. Because when that moment comes, then I'm gonna look around like, oh, I remember when this place used to be dead. There used to be one person in here. So it creates contrast for you to enjoy the next step.
There's something to be said, Carlos, about the entrepreneurial spirit and the way that you outline that. Like, you see the finished product before it happens. You appreciate the process as it's happening. So not necessarily dwelling on the fact that, not necessarily dwelling on the fact that living in the present, more so than enjoying what you have now, because you know that things will grow. It's that, that confidence. You didn't get into this because you thought it wasn't going to work. So I think there's something to be said about your mindset and the growth of the start of your cafe and then what it will become. Because, as you said, there's also a bar portion to it, which is separate from the cafe, and your bar will find its own identity within the same space, but from the hours of 9 to 4 on weekdays, which is cool. So let me ask you about your coffee itself. So, like any important details to know about how you blend it or how you roast it?
There's one thing that I've never used it as a marketing tool, which I possibly could. Our espresso beans are literally coming from one farm. Like when you mean, like, some people say single origin. What a lot of people don't understand about coffee is single origin could be from one, let's say, New York, but it could be from different places in New York. So that would be a single origin coffee.
Yeah.
Ours is literally coming from one farm, period. Like, it's not coming from different areas in that state, for example.
Yeah.
So when we started the other coffee shop, it was COVID. It was about it was 2020, right before COVID hit, and the person that offered me the coffee, he was gonna get pretty much locked in New York because he had to go back to Colombia. Mm-hmm. And he passed by. He's like, "Hey, I have this coffee. Do you want to try it?" And pretty much I told him, if you could give me this coffee all year round, I'm gonna give it a shot, because I was using another vendor. And what happens is most coffee shops use bigger names like Variety or Stumptown, where their coffee is great, but what happens is they buy in bulk. So if they have a cheaper bulk, they'll buy that so they can sell and make more money. Mm-hmm. But if in 3 months that same beans go up and they get access to something cheaper, they'll buy the cheaper beans, even though they're still good quality beans, but it'll change the consistency of that coffee shop. So that's why sometimes coffee shops, you'll have a coffee that you really enjoy, and then 3 months it kind of changes. Not necessarily that it's bad coffee, it's just the flavor profile changes.
Yeah.
So I explained that to him, and I said, "Can you give me these beans all year round?" Because to me, the only way you build a business is through consistency. If you look at all the major names, you could go to McDonald's here, and then a McDonald's in, I don't know, the middle of nowhere, and you're supposed to have pretty much the same thing, right? So that's kind of I would say, as a business, should always be the end goal.
Yep.
To have consistency. Our beans are not technically, they are single origin Colombian coffee that come from one farm. And I think I've never used that aspect as a marketing aspect, because I feel a lot of people go somewhere and say, "Oh, single origin," and there's a lot of education around coffee that most people don't have.
Yeah.
And I enjoy when I get to explain to people certain things about coffee. The flavor profiles, or sometimes people feel like stronger flavor is stronger coffee. It doesn't necessarily mean that. The difference between light roast and medium roast, and even something like, what is a cappuccino, what is a latte? A lot of people don't have no clue what's the difference between all these things. So I think eventually that would be something cool to add. That I wanted to do it over there, where it's kind of educating people, not from a "oh, I know better than you." It's more how can you, by you understanding all of this, how can you get the coffee that you are really going to enjoy based on your preferences?
So, thank you. I think there is a lot, as you said, of education that goes into coffee, and I'm a coffee enthusiast myself. I absolutely love to explore and taste new coffee. I like the fruity notes of coffee. I like the nutty notes of coffee. Um, I really enjoy, and your quintessential ice blend. But when you have like iced coffee, typically, you expect it to be a little less body, or a little less flavorful. I'll be honest. I'll tell you exactly how I feel about the coffee that I drink. You mix it so well, like it is not overpowering with oat milk or anything like that. There's a definite taste to the coffee itself, the flavor of it. It maintains its like taste, which is really good. And then the other part to it is like the affordability aspect of it too. So was this all intentional when you put all this together, or?
I would say, as like the experience from coming from the other coffee shop, I would say that I feel pretty confident about putting out coffee whenever I put out coffee. Like I always play around because also, like I said, this is a new setup. Even the drip machine is different, so I played around until I figure out I feel confident about this. Usually, I don't know how most people do iced coffee, but I make my coffee, I cool it down, and then I serve it. Some people serve it hot, so when you put it in the ice, it kind of dilutes, melts and it dilutes the flavor. So those little things that I put into effect, I think that helps me. And also, Colombian coffee has been known to be one of the best coffees for a very long time. It's not something new. So it's kind of like, if I already know something is good, why would I go try to, like if it ain't broken, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
I hear that.
So I think the mixture of experience and then understanding that there's things that are already known as good, I just use what's there. It's like it's been given to us. Just use it.
Absolutely. All right. I think I'll close out with a quick question. One, where can we find you? Social media wise, you're the person or you're the business, however you feel.
But yeah, the main one for here is Merv's Cafe, and then for House Party, it's House Party Cafe NYC.
Thank you. And then obviously, each Saturday, catch us on Saturday. We're going to have pull up and perform. We have a stage that we have. Please order a wonderful cup of coffee. If you like tea, we also have that as well. And yeah, we'll get a chance to get some stage time, some work, and get the reps in on a Saturday afternoon from 12 to 3 p.m. here at 266 Irving Avenue. If you want to talk coffee, as you can obviously tell, Carlos is a wealth of knowledge. And if you want to get a chance to, up your social media a little bit and, do a little bit of performance art, there's a stage right behind me. So looking forward to seeing you on Saturdays, 12 to 3 p.m. And to drive home, the store itself, Merv's Cafe, is open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.